This is a party political broadcast brought to you by Dangerous FPV, AlignTrex.co.uk and Stanton Frames. There will be no mention of the UK referendum, thank you.
How's it going? Basically, I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about the TSX 200, which is brand new. It's not available to the public yet. This is a prototype. Tom Stanton was like really kind and managed to sort us out with a frame, and I didn't know, I knew that he had not many of them, and I kept pestering him at Western Park Model Air Show about getting hold of one, and he had one spare, so I was really privileged to get hold of one of these because I'm not really that experienced compared to most of the boys on the FPV racing circuit at the moment. And I built this, literally got it on the Saturday, got back home late Sunday night, started building, got it sorted out by Monday with a big help from Raj at AlignTrex.co.uk. He sponsors me now, which is really cool. I put some DYS ESCs on this, the V2 20 amp ones. That was a recommendation from Tom. Normally I'm on the Little B ESCs. I was thinking about using the Pros. I think the Pros are really good as well, but I think we went for these for a couple of reasons. It was easier to solder the motor connections on because the solder connections, the solder pads aren't as close to the little tiny FETs that are on the Little Bs, so they're a bit easier. The Emax 2205 red bottoms that most people are using. I'm using a Naze Rev 5 board because I was using the later Evo SP Racing board, but I was getting vibe issues on my TSX 220s, and that's why you could call it a downgrade because it's an older board, but it's actually a better board. I don't understand why. The forums seem to point to the older chip being more reliable for vibration reasons than the later chips that we're seeing on things like the Evo, and I think there's plenty of other boards out there using the later chip. Anyway, this quad is shorter, smaller, stubbier, lighter, it's faster, it's mental. The other quads that I had, the 220 and the 200, they're still incredibly fast and insane with this setup, but this is just slightly lighter, and I like it because you can put a battery underneath instead of on top. A lot of quads that you see now at the race meets have the batteries mounted underneath. With the older models, with the 220 and the 250, the antennas on your receiver normally came out the back on cable ties, whereas now you have to try and route the antennas somewhere else. And in this particular case, we're all routing them onto the front standoffs and just poking them up here with a little bit of heat shrink, just like a couple of little weird insect antennas or antennae. This mount that you're seeing on this now was kindly given to me by Simon Cope, otherwise known as Psycho FPV, and it's great because it's flexible, which means any kind of one of your props might be a little bit bent or damaged from a crash. This mount will take out any of those unwanted little tiny sort of jello vibrations that you get, which is really cool. And obviously on this machine the battery is underslung at the bottom of the frame. Kelly's watching me, by the way, and she's making me feel really uneasy because I hate being on camera. Anyway, I'll drink a bit. That's better. Anyway, so also on this frame the standoffs are 35mm instead of 30. Most people were changing their standoffs to a 35mm standoff on the 220 and the 250. Because they just couldn't fit everything in and they wanted a bit more camera tilt and everything else. And this also means that it allows for larger video transmitters like the FX series to fit in there snugly vertically, which is really good. Although the bottom, the little connection on the bottom of the VTX is sticking out just slightly, ever so slightly, but it doesn't really matter because when you've got your battery on there it doesn't make any difference, so that's all good. With the camera, I'm putting a 1300 milliamp LiPo underneath, and that sound, I could probably put an 1800 milliamp LiPo underneath, which would be much chunkier, and it's heavier. I've flown it like that, and I think you'd lose the camera, you'd get rid of it if you're flying an 1800 milliamp underneath, because it's just that little bit too heavy, I think, for racing. But if you want to get some laps in with the Yi or your GoPro on board, then you stick a 1300 milliamp on there. But The camera tilt angle is much more extreme on this model. You know, I don't know, I have not got any idea what the degrees are, but it's a lot bigger, you know, it's a lot more extreme than the previous TSX 220 that I'm used to. My camera won't quite go to its full maximum travel because I've mounted it the wrong way up. The connector is getting caught on the Naze Rev 5, which is a pain in the ass. But I'll turn that upside down at some point. I'm using a Naze Rev 5 because I tried using the SP Racing Evo and it was a bit rubbish because the vibration from the frame, because it's all hard mounted, was causing these weird little twitches, and it was just a bit of a nightmare really. So I went back to the Naze Rev 5 as recommended by Tom and everyone else, because it's just a good solid board, you know. I mean, it might not be the smoothest, it might not, you know, refresh as quickly as some of these later chips, but for me it works. Maybe I'll move on to some of these Acorn ESCs, as everyone's calling them. Not Acorn, no, it's Acorn. You know, that's the one. Famous rapper, Acorn, you know. He endorsed those ESCs, so they're amazing, apparently. But anyway, yeah, so it's a really good machine. It goes like stink. I've got a few little bits and pieces in this video to show you that. I haven't had a chance to go out and really fly the living tits off of it, but it's really good. It's going to be cool, and eventually once these are released to the public, I will replace my older frames, which are still fantastic, but it's just that little bit more stubbier. It's just more compact, and the underslung battery, you know, with this machine. So yeah, thanks for watching, and see you later.